what they do to the youths them. Prostitute them, mad, boom. Turn them around, put their face to the wall, then they shoot them. Little babies, they abuse them. Little Sadie, she was innocent. But because she was a Christian, but them man a Muslim, in God's name they're busting in. Boom, we got too many divisions. I hate religion. Too many ism and schism, yeah. Too many dirty politicians, yeah. Look at my brothers in the prison, yeah. Now mama's head is gone missing. I know I don't condone crime, but I told my from time we weren't designed for this system. Boom, look at the planes in the sky though. Well, them I spray down. Chemicals and dirt polluting the earth, they don't care about me and you, no. The world is overpopulated, so how they gonna solve it? Fluoride in the water, food producing cancer, new world order. This is the new world order, yeah. This is the new world order, yeah. Fluoride in the water, fluoride in the water, fluoride in the water. Food producing cancer, food producing cancer. Yo, boom. So now you got cancer, you gotta fight that with radiation. Another NHS patient, more money for the corporation. Police are still killing the innocent, greedy banks still making millions. But my people suffering, but are my people suffering? That is thinking Babylon, you've had your time, now it's time to let my people go. Let my people go. Moses went to Pharaoh, told him, let my people go. Let my people go. Let my people go. Hey, you've had your time, but your time is running down. Can you hear the sound? The sound of judgment now. Be bold, be strong and stand firm. The Most High won't allow the righteous to suffer. He's in control, he sits on the throne, the King of Kings. Oh, don't you know, when he returns it ain't gonna be no tic-tac-toe. You best let them know. Boom, bye, bye, you best let them know. Boom, bye, bye, you best let them know. Took us from Africa to plant and sow. Now you're rich and you don't need us. You tell us come out your country and go back home. Rust, disrespect and cheek. They can't believe these freaks. Who built the railways and who cleaned the streets? Who worked in full time, produced all the fleet?
Yo, I've never been a bad man. Nah, listen. Yo, I've never been a bad man, but man was raised in the ends. 15 blowing on a 125 head. Money off a meg, we not start from the red. 1.4 on a 10s, 120 for a Z. 240 get you a 2 on a blue. Better run if you see them boys in blue. We just wanna rise up and make a little loot. Can't be a bum, man will make fun of you. But anyways, yo, football was my dream. Used to kick ball with Etam and Stokey. R.I.P, I pray for your family. No mum should bury the son, you feel me? Little Jamsy, he was a ball on my G. He twists up bare man over my blue green. But wrong time at the wrong scene. Ended up with a Rambo in the sleeve. Father God mercy. Father God mercy, 'cause brothers are dying, mothers are crying. Father God mercy, we need your mercy. Brothers are dying, mothers are crying. Oh, spread love and be free. We are brothers, can't you see? Spread love and be free. We are brothers, can't you see? We're in the same lane at the same pace. We're in the same game on the same team. Why do we have to fight? Why can't we just unite? We're in the same lane at the same pace. We're in the same game on the same team. Never makes sense to Father God mercy. Father God mercy. 'Cause brothers are dying, mothers are crying. Father God mercy. We need your mercy. Brothers are dying, mothers are crying. Oh, mercy, mercy, mercy.
Yes, sir. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Respect and blessings to everyone watching, everyone who will be watching. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Respect and blessings. And yeah, we're back again. Yes, sir. We're back again with another stream. Yeah, we got to do it. We have to. Last stream, we spoke about death and how death basically is a taboo subject and no one wants to tackle that. I mean, we do tackle it, but we kind of gloss over it type of thing. We're not really getting into the nitty gritty of what it really meant. But yeah, you can go watch that stream. Yeah, but for this stream, we're going to look into something very controversial. Again, it's like, yo, we got that uncle, you know what I'm saying, or that subject, the elephant in the room, so to speak. Yeah. And yeah, it's got to be addressed because everybody addresses it except for we, the people that kind of read it, so to speak. So yeah, this is the time to kind of look into it and yeah, come clean. And if you see stuff and you kind of gloss over it, then yo, it's mental health. You need to find some kind of psychiatrist, believe, because when you see truth and you try and ignore it, then you know that you have problems. That's my philosophy, for real. That. So yeah, I can elaborate a bit more, but I don't want to do that because it's got to speak for itself. Whether, you know, I mean, this is what we've known. Well, I've known in my lifetime and many more before me, my ancestors and so on and so forth, who have been and gone reading this particular book called the Bible. The question is now, is it legit? Was it accurate? Did our forefathers, ancestors die believing that the book was real, so to speak? So we're going to get into all that. We're going to chop it up, man. Definitely, we're going to chop it all up and get into it. And yeah, basically come to the understanding, whether what we're reading is what it is, basically. So without further ado, let's get into it. And yeah, man, this is a study. This is no joke thing. We're just breaking things down, and then you can take what you want after that. So bear with me 1 second. Let me just draw up some certain things, and then yeah, we go from there. Yeah. All right. Contradictions in the Bible. Is the Bible the absolute word of the righteous one, of the chosen? Now, that's a good question. Is it the absolute truth? We're about to find out. So, the only way we're going to find out is obviously through the scriptures, and that is what's going to determine basically where we are, what kind of truth we're living, whether we're living a lie, whether we're living truth, whether we just glossing over stuff like we usually do. But right here, still Yasef Samora channel with your host, Yasef Samora. Salute to all my audience out there. And yes, here we speak truth and we try and break down truth. Now, that might sound alien to you because it's not the norms, so to speak, what you're used to. But hey, we don't follow what people are used to, because we know that a big chunk of the people are crazy. Notice I said that softly. You don't want to, yeah, anyway, let's do this. So yeah, let's get into the first verse of the slide. Now, this one here is about the Sabbath day, which is, yeah, something that we all know. Exodus 20:8 is part of the commandments, so to speak. But we're going to get into that. Maybe I shouldn't have done that, but anyway, disregard that and let's move on. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. But yes, before I even get into that, I mean, we got to compare the books. And yeah, when you look at the New Testament and the Old Testament, it's like they're in a war against each other. I mean, I've been to religious sects and various ones like that, and they all say the Bible is accurate and it is God's word and so on. And mostly they teach from the New Testament and reference the Old Testament. And so I've had that kind of experience. But in comparing the two books, you get to understand that it's like the opposite to each other. So how does that make it accurate? How do they rhyme? How does it be harmonious from beginning to end? Let's find out. Okay. So Exodus 28 says, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. And Romans 14:5 states, one man esteemeth one day above another. Another esteemeth every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. And that's in Romans 14:5. So now you see that these are two opposites, basically. One is saying keep the Sabbath and remember it, keep it holy. And the other saying, hey, one man says one day special Another says every day's the same. Let every man just choose any day. Yo, this is crazy, but I'm laughing, but it's just crazy how for years and years, and even our ancestors, but we'll get to that. I mean, I don't want to skip because I know the questions that are going to float through are going to be okay. So if the Bible's not accurate and not the word of God, then what should we use? But I'll get to that in a second. Let's just go through the contradictions first, and then we can answer all the questions that we need to answer. Um, yeah. So let's go to slide 2. I mean, this one here, we all understand that it's opposite to what Exodus 20 is saying. It's saying you make up your own mind, whatever day you want. You know what I'm saying? It's up to you. Okay. Right. Ecclesiastes 1 and 4. The earth abideth forever. Simple. The earth is forever. It's going to be forever. Okay. So let's see what the New Testament tells us. In 2 Peter 3 and 10. That says the elements shall melt away with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are in therein shall be burned up. Wow. So the earth, according to the New Testament, is destined for a blow up, a meltdown. Whereas the Old Testament is telling us that the earth abideth forever. So, I mean, where's the harmony here? Can somebody please point it out? I've read only 2 verses and I haven't found any harmony as yet. But maybe there's some down the line. I doubt it, but let's carry on. You see, I'm making it simple. I'm not complicating it so that, you know, you can say this, that, and the other. Oh, I didn't understand it, or maybe this. No, it's right there in your face. This is the old and then the new. You can check it out, reference it for yourself, and break it down for yourself. But like I said, if you see something and clearly it's telling you that this is lies, and you turn, or you choose to turn a blind eye, and you must be needing a doctor. Your blood pressure must be well high. It must be well high, because yeah, you must be needing a doctor. That's for sure. But anyway, let's carry on. The Old Testament, Genesis 32:30, it tells us that I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. So in Genesis, the Old Testament, so-called Old Testament, Hebrew text, the Tanakh, any which way you want to put it, it tells us that a man has seen God face to face and his life was preserved. But when we come down to the New Testament, in John 1:18, it says, no man has seen God at any time. Yo, what's going on here, man? I mean, who's translating these scriptures, man? That's what. Hey, John, were you all right? You weren't tripping on no LSD or smoking no marijuana or some shit like that, brother. We just reading. We're not writing anything down. But this is ridiculous. I mean, yo, we'll get to the conclusion of things when we get there. But right now, as we're walking through this, it's beginning to sound and look and seem very, 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 very ridiculous. And that means that it's beginning to seem like this book, I won't say it's a lie, but it's definitely not accurate. Anyway, we've done the seeing God. Let's carry on. The power of God. Okay, so in Matthew, let's switch it around a little bit. Well, we could do it the other way around. Judges 1:19. The Lord was with Judah, and he drove them out. Or he drove out the inhabitants of the mountains, but could not drive out the inhabitants of the valley, because they had chariots of fire. So this verse here is very interesting, because why? It's saying here that the Lord was with Judah, and he drove out the inhabitants of the mountains, but could not drive out the inhabitants of the valley, because they had chariots of fire. We're talking about the Most High here. So we go to the New Testament, and it says, Matthew 19:26, with God, all things are possible. Now, that's closer to what the Old Testament is saying, because, again, God is God. He created everything. So how was he able to drive the inhabitants out of the mountains, but could not drive the inhabitants out of the valley? Because they had chariots of fire. So were they stronger than God? Is that what Judges 1:9 is implying? And this is the Old Testament. Now, I'm going to say this. I do say, and I always put a disclaimer, that this channel is Thus Saith the Most High and the prophets, the Old Testament only. But again, as every day goes by, and the Spirit of the Most High keeps working with us, it opens our knowledge, the way we see things. So, as Fat Joe will say, I'm gonna quote Fat Joe, yes. Yesterday's prices are not today's prices. So you figure that out. Where I was yesterday is not where I am today. Remember that as we go along. Okay, so now we know that the Old Testament is saying something a bit suspect here, because Judges 1:19 to me doesn't make sense. The Most High is the Most High, and if he's with Judah, then he's driving out everything inside. That's my understanding. But as they put, because they had chariots of fire, that means that there was a people at a time who were stronger than the God that this Bible is talking about. And that's a fact. We all speak English. We all understand English. We're not going to gloss over it. We're looking at it as It's been presented to us. No feelings attached, no emotion, just reading the words. Excuse me. Yeah, so let's carry on and unpack this thing because it's interesting. And again, like I always say, when we're looking at these things, we got to look at it from a point of view that with everything they've given us is lies. So we're investigating. We're not just taking everything that, I mean, from here on in, as the Most High is opening us to who we are through information by means of his spirit, then yes, we kind of adapt and change and understand and move along as we're going on with the understanding as righteous, as the righteous. But I digress. I know sometimes I do that. I go into something different and then, yeah, I kind of feel like I'm losing track, but I want to stay on this thing because, again, we have to be real with it. Well, that's my feeling. We have to be real with it. And yes, it might be attacking your core meaning belief, but your belief is something that you don't know. So it's about time we start knowing things rather than leaning on things we don't know. But let's carry on. All right. Okay, so Exodus 21:23-25. It reads, "Thou shalt give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, stripe for stripe." Simple. Simple. Yeah. No long thing, as we say out here. No long thing. So let's see what the New Testament is saying. Matthew 5:39. Ye resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. Yeah, bomb clock. How you mean turn? Yo. Easy, easy. Yeah, man. Yo, as Peter Tosh sings, you can fool some people sometime, but you can't fool all the people all of the time. So any time you see the light, get up and stand up and say, hey, 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 get up. Yeah, you have to get up and stand up for your right, man. And like I said, we've gone past the believing thing. This is the age of knowing, not believing. And if you want to know, the Most High will give you the spirit of knowledge and wisdom, especially if you are blood or the blood of the chosen, from the blood of the chosen, should I say. So yeah, let's continue on. Yeah, as you see, it's not one or two or three or four, a whole heap. Yeah, a whole heap. It's just it's too many for it to be something that we lean on, so to speak. But we'll get into that when we what am I trying to say? When we get to the conclusion, because right now we're just breaking it down, and we've got to conclude what we think. Well, I'm going to give my version of what I think after this, but let's continue on. Genesis 17:10. This is my covenant, which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man, child among you shall be what? Circumcised. That's Genesis 17:10. So let's go on to the let's go on to the New Testament. Let's see what that's saying. Galatians 5:2. If ye be circumcised, Christ shall profit you nothing. Let me read that again. If ye be circumcised, Christ shall profit you nothing. Galatians 5:2. Yo, you find me saying yo a lot when I get excited. Yeah, we say, yo, what's going on, man? What is going on? Where's my homeboy Joe, man? I hope you're watching, man. If not, I hope you watch it, man. What's going on? Yeah. Shout out to Joe. Yes, man. What's going on? Yo, brother, man, we need to know what's going on, man. And that's why we're here. We're not running through the belief thing again, because the belief thing is of some things we didn't know. But now we're grown. We want to know. Or we're going to look for the things that we know. And we're going to stick to what we know rather than what we don't know. Is it? Well, all right. Let's continue on. Yeah, so as we see here, the Old Testament and the New Testament, oh dear. It's like they're warring. Old says A, the New says B. Old says C, the New says D. So far, I'm yet to find a verse which they harmonize in. But let's carry on. Maybe we might find one. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Incest. Cursed be he. No, sorry. Deuteronomy 27:22. Cursed be he that lieth with his sister, the daughter of his father, or the daughter of his mother. Okay. As they say, okay. So now, this is, I don't want to make it look like I said, but it's a joke thing, man. Anyway, let's keep reading. Leviticus 20:17. And if a man shall take his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter, it is a wicked thing. So right now, the Old Testament is saying that, yo, you can't have no relations with your sister, whether it's your father's daughter or your mother's daughter, or, and it's so serious that it doesn't even, you see, before we were previewing just one verse to one verse. This has two. Deuteronomy 27 and 22, and Leviticus 20 and 17. So that is showing you that the Bible takes this very serious. So let's go to Genesis, because this is, again, sorry, this is an oversight. As we can see with the scriptures, this is just all Old Testament. Prior, I was breaking down Old v New. But we can see right here that even in the Old in itself, there's contradictions. Deuteronomy, Leviticus says, what? Cursed be he that lieth with his sister. And if a man takes his sister, it's a wicked thing. But here in Genesis 17, 15 to 16, it reads, and God said to unto Abraham, as for Sarah thy wife, I will bless her and give her a son also of her. Now, I know you guys that watch this channel all know and are familiar with the Abraham and Sarah story. And we know that Abraham and Sarah were brother and sister. So what the Bible in the Old Testament is in effect saying is that the Most High is a liar. The most righteous one is a liar. Because it says in Deuteronomy, cursed be he that lieth with his sister. And if a man take his sister in Leviticus, his father's daughter, it's a wicked thing. So why in Genesis is the Most High allowing Abraham to take Sarah for his wife, but not only take Sarah for his wife, he's going to bless her and give her a son also of her. Now, I hope you just followed what I just said. And I hope you're paying attention. Because if you wasn't, I'm just saying, hey, what I just said does not make sense. Does it make sense to you? See, I want to go to the conclusions, but because everything boils back down to, is it accurate? Okay, so no, we know it's not accurate, but is there truth in there? I believe so, but that's why I want to save it to the conclusion. And yeah, we'll give the breakdown. Let's carry on. Ezekiel 18 and 20. The son shall not bear the iniquity, of the father. That's pretty straightforward. What the father do? It's not the son's problem. The son's not gonna become victim also of whatever the father does. So again, we're still in the Old Testament. See, so we can't just beat down the New Testament. Yes, the New Testament is completely folly, but there's folly in the Old Testament. And as we read the previous verse with incest, and now this one is the punishing of crime. And you can see by the scriptures that they're both Old Testament scriptures, which means that there is folly. And if you deny that, then like I said, psychosis is a very, 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 very painful and bitter and sour condition to be in. Exodus 20:5. The Lord thy God, I'm a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation. So this one, this here is not even saying, yo, as Ezekiel 18:20 saying, just the father and the son. This is going unto the third and fourth generation. So we can see the contrast here and the folly clearly, which is in the Old Testament. And we can't gloss over that. We can't. Well, I can't. But anyway, let's carry on. Temptation. Yes, I. Let no man, no, sorry. James, we're back to the old ending. James 1:3. Oh, now let's do it the other way around because we're going to stick with the pattern. Genesis 22:1. And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham. Let me read it again. And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham. Okay, so what's the New Testament saying about temptation? Because we know in the Old Testament, the Most High did tempt Abraham. Okay, James 1:3. Let no man say, when tempted, I am tempted of God, for God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. Damn. Yo, this is what they call in Latin finito. Done. A wrap. Listen, I don't care what no man says. This is what we're facing right now. And yeah, I'm not following those mental unstable, or how they call them, psychotic mothers out there that want to see something and pretend they're not seeing it because it's gonna mess up their flow, whatever they're doing or whatever ism they're under. You be under that. But right here, we want to know the truth. Celebrate your Christmas and follow all these things. Because they say he who laughs last laughs the loudest. Right? Okay, so yeah. This is why should I say, we try and break down and not shy away from what we do find, because if I do that, then I'm mentally ill. Yeah. Mentally ill. Yeah. And everybody that does that is mentally ill. That's a fact. So let's carry on. And it came to pass, yeah. So yeah, we understand that these are two different opinions here. The New Testament is saying one thing, the Old Testament is saying another. But yet, it's harmonious. Excuse me, let's carry on. Mm. Yeah, so here we go. Family relations. What are we talking here when they say family relations? Sorry, bear with me 1 second. Yes. Still old and new. Exodus 20 and 12. Simple. Honor thy father and thy mother. Okay, so the Old Testament is telling us straight. We go honor thy father and thy mother. All right, fair enough. Okay, so New Testament, Luke 14:26. If any man come to me and hate not his father and his mother and his wife and his children and his brethren and his sisters. Yo, are we following what's going on here right now? Let me just read that again, because we already know what Exodus 20:12 says. Honor thy father and thy mother. But in Luke here, 14:26, if any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and and wife and children and brethren and sister, yeah, and his own life also. Damn, Skippy. Yo, he cannot be my disciple. And that's Luke 14:26. You see, this is what the New Testament is saying when it says that many are called, but the chosen are few. You see, the chosen that are few understand the folly. That's in both, well, that's in the Old Testament. They understand the folly that's in the Old Testament. And the New Testament is like some kind of Mason or secret society book or what have you, code language to deceive the people into worshiping what they want them to worship. Hence why you got all these codings in this New Testament. It's not for you to understand, but you have to break it down. It's coded. It's not for everybody. Even though everybody is called, you're called to a certain level, but the understanding of it, you're not ready, because only a few understand, and you have to understand language for what it is. You can't gloss over it. You can't make it up. You just have to break it down as it's presented to you. Hence why we're getting two different opposites of understanding between the old and the new. But let's carry on, because like I said, we're not blind over here. No Stevie Wonders over here. No Ray Charles is over here. Yeah, for a time we'll have one eye shut. But as soon as we see, we can peek through it, we're opening the eye and we're going through. I don't know about you, but it is there. It's the same book that you read or you read and I read. My ancestors read and those before them. So don't blame me. I'm just breaking it down. Let's go. Resurrection of the dead. He that goeth down. No, sorry. Yeah, I'm just running. I'm just running a bit too fast. You know what I'm saying? For my own good. Yeah, but let's do it again. Job 7:9 says, he that goeth down to the grave shall come up no more. We did that on the last stream about death. And yeah, Job did say that in Job 7:9, that he that goeth down to the grave shall come up no more. So let's cross over to the other side of town and see what Brother John, the toilet man, because that's what John means. You can Google it. It means toilet. That's why over here say, "Oi, mate, going to the John." You see, that's how they're taking the piss out of us. But anyway, let's carry on. John, Brother John 5:28-29. He says, the hour is coming in which all that are in the graves shall hear his voice and come forth. So this is the battle of the J's. Who's telling the truth? J-O-B? Job? Or Joe? Or on? Yeah, let's take it to the, well, from the T-O-P, because we're dealing with J-O-B and J-O-H-N. Well, I try to rhyme it, but yeah, that's as close as I can get. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, this is ridiculous, man. And we have people who are devoted to this shit, and I say shit for a reason, because it is exactly that, especially the New Testament. The New Testament I'm referring to as shit. The Old Testament, again, we know there's, what you call it, inconsistencies in there. But we're going to explain that. We're not defending it, but wait to the conclusion. And then we're going to explain. So let's carry on. Where are we now? We're at the conclusion. Yeah. Fair enough. So yeah. See, I didn't want to bring out a whole lot of scriptures because there's more. I mean, hold on 1 second. I want to bring this before we go to the conclusion. 1 second. I really want to bring this verse here. Hold on 1 second. Let me do this. Yeah. Let me add this. Okay. Now, when I said there's more, there is more. And this is the Old Testament. And as you can see, it's boldly written there, Ezekiel 48:11. Now, when you read this verse, this verse here in particular is for those who are deep in study within this so-called book we call the Bible. Ezekiel 48:11 says, "This will be for the consecrated priests, the Zadokites, who were faithful in serving me and did not go astray, as the Levites did when the Israelites went astray." Now, the thing about this verse here is that if you know the Bible well, then you would know that the Bible tells us, or gives us the narrative that the Zadokites are also the Levites. Now, the Levites came first because they came under Moses and Aaron, basically. So why they would separate the Zadokites from the Levites, I don't get it. The Zadokites are Levites. So if the Levites went astray, the Zadokites went astray, according to this verse, because that's the notion in which this Bible is trying to give us. So this verse here doesn't make no sense where it says the Zadokites, because why were they called Zadokites in the first place if they were Levites to begin with? There will be Levites. We know about the story they've given us about Zadok, but again, here goes the changing of names, which is what the deceiver always does. But we're going to go into that. So yeah, let me put back this one here and let's go. Sorry. This one here. Right, the conclusion. Right. So the conclusion, if the Bible is not the absolute word of the Most High or the most righteous one, what do we do? Do we throw it away? Well, my view is not necessarily, not quite. I mean, the New Testament, definitely throw that away. I know it's attached to the old, but what I mean when I say throw it away is don't bother with it. Don't take that to heart, or don't read it with any kind of, unless you're obviously in some kind of secret society or whatever. And yeah, you know that that's your book, then fair enough. Because again, we know what certain things mean, and I'll break that down in a minute when we look at the word God. Now, hold on, let me do this. 1 second. Right, Ezekiel, yeah. Right, so when we look at the word God, if you go and Google the word God, it will give you the obvious meanings, i.e. the, what do you call it? Supreme being and XYZ. But if you go to the etymology, i.e. the origin of the word God, it will tell you that another meaning for it comes from the old, the Germanic root word, basically, guts or gots or whatever they call it. Gots, and it's Old English comes God. And gods is from the Geats, and the Geats and the Goths. You go to Wikipedia and you read it. It's all there in Wikipedia. The Geats and the Goths um, had a mythology with a guy called Odin, and from Odin you had, as they say here, the variant forms of the name Odin are from the Lombardic language. The Lombardic language, um, which is a Germanic language, but yeah, or a Dutch language, one of the two. Don't quote me, but you can Google it, Wikipedia. It will tell you the meaning of God, and it comes from the Lombardic language, Godan, and that is actually a Proto-Germanic word called gludinas or woodanas or woodenas, which is also from the Proto-Germanic name of a god of German paganisms known as Odin in the Norse mythology, Wodan in Old English, and in Old High German, Godan. So in time, from Godan, it became God. So God is the ancestor of what they call them again, the royal line or the royal family from Wessex. So every time you say God, you are giving your praise to a royal bloodline from Wessex, England, basically, and Germany. It's the same thing, but there is different versions. So you have to understand and overstand what you are saying when you say it. So there's your meaning of God. Now, I want to tackle one thing here. Hold on 1 second. Okay, that was Ezekiel. So add that. Right. This verse here, Psalms 83 and 4. Now, this verse here, I've asked so many people this question, and nobody so far has been able to give me an answer. And so I say, or I will say out loud, why would they use, or a people use, a name that they are trying to eliminate? What do I mean by that? Let's read Psalms 83, 4. It says, with cunning, they conspire against your people. They plot against those who cherish you. Sorry, they plot against those you cherish. Come, let us destroy them as a nation, so that Israel's name is remembered no more. Now, my question is, if you're trying to eliminate a name, why would you use that name? That same name, Israel, because today everybody knows Israel. Everybody knows the name Israel. So if you're trying to eliminate the name Israel, because it says it quite categorically here in Psalms 83 and 4, so that Israel's name is remembered no more, that clearly shows us that Israel wasn't the name they were trying to eliminate, else they wouldn't have put it there. And like I said previously, Israel in itself means Isis, Ra, and El. Shout out to Bantu International Yes, I'm with truth, no matter where it comes from. But yeah, let's keep moving. Israel is not the name, and Jacob cannot be the name of the chosen people. Why do I say that? Okay, so now let's look at it. Let's look at it like this. Rebecca, Isaac's wife, if you're familiar with the story, had two sons. Now, these two sons never picked their names. We got to remember this because that's key. They didn't pick the names. Isaac and Rebecca named these two boys their names, gave them their names. Now, let's break down the names and the meaning of the names. Jacob, Jacob, whatever you want to call him, his name, as the scriptures tell us, the Bible tells us, the same book that we're breaking down tells us that his name means deceiver or supplanter. Okay, fine. His name means deceiver or supplanter. That his mom and dad saw it fit to call their son Jacob for whatever reason. Jacob, which means deceiver and supplanter. Okay, let's go to the other son, Esau. Now, Esau, his name means red. Red. Okay, so why, according to this Google and all these translations, they say red. Esau is called red because of the red lentils. Really? Is that really true? Because if you research lentils, them boys at that time were not eating no lentils. Lentils wasn't even in the Middle East at the time. Lentils was something that was brought into the Middle East, but it wasn't in the Middle East at the time. So how could Esau be eating lentils and from that be called red? But coincidentally, Adam is called, or Adam means red or dust or red soil. Edom also means red. Remember, I said to you, words and the play of words. So this lentil story was just concocted basically to bring Jacob into the limelight. Esau was named after Adam because he was in Adam's complexion, most likely. The same red soil, red dust, whatever you want to call it. Not red lentils. Let's look at the sons of Esau. These were chiefs and dukes. What did Jacob have? 12 tribes. Now, in my opinion, if you're going to represent the Most High, you're going to represent the Most High on the highest level. And that's what Esau was doing, because he had dukes he had kings, he had, what do you call it, chiefs. And again, I want to bring your attention to something. I mentioned that on the last stream, and that is very important to what I'm saying now. Everything there is today that is original, there's a copy. This is why this system today has a copy of the real. Hence why the royal family have dukes, have chiefs, most probably kings, obviously, but have dukes and so on. If you probably go and investigate, they most likely did have chiefs, because in them days they had tribes and stuff like that, as we read before when we were breaking down the meaning of God. The Goths and all these other tribes, the Geats, which is where the royal line comes from. So again, imitation. This is how I'm breaking it down. So that means that everything in the Old Testament, as we know, we already know that some things, as we know with the scriptures, are not right because they're trying to present a narrative. But we know that on top of that, they've changed locations, the names of people, who people are, and so on and so forth, and created, added things to it, and created other incidents to aid their narrative. And that is what they've done to the Old Testament. But in saying that, hold on. Okay, 1 second, 1 second. Remove that. Okay, so I'm just trying to show you something. Unless I didn't get it, then that's different. But mm, mm, mm. Okay, let me see this. Here we go. Yeah, and this is why I say that you have to have the wisdom and the spirit of the righteous one to now be able to break down where these lies are, especially when you tackle it from how I've presented it to you. Because again, everything is based today is a copy based off of the original. This is why in Hosea 3 and 4, it says, here it says the Israelites, but I will put the chosen. And I believe the chosen were the Edomites, not the Israelites. But I would put the chosen, for the chosen will live many days without king or prince, without sacrifice or sacred stories, without ephod or household gods. Why is this verse important? It's very important because most of our ancestors before, from slavery times up until now, have relied on this book we call the Bible. But we know in today that there is folly within the Bible, and that the so-called Israelites are not really the chosen people, and Jacob is not the chosen son. And the reason why I feel that the Old Testament has truths in it is because of this verse here, Hosea 3 and 4, where it says that many Israelites, many of the chosen will live. No, not many. Sorry, let me read that again. Hosea 3 and 4. For the chosen will live many days without king. So, I mean, if you look at today and even from slavery days and time past, everything that we have known is what has been given to us. If you're following what I'm saying. So we have been for many a days without household gods, without sacred stories, because most of the stories that we have been turned. I mean, they're not the same stories. These are made up stories that they've given to us. No, not made up stories, but they've added a bit of fantasy into these stories. But the sacred stories we do not have, because why? This Bible here is not our story. We don't have, we're going to be without sacrifice, because these people who gave us this Bible are telling us about Christ and all these things, but yet we know that Christ is folly. We don't have a prince and we don't have a king. We haven't for a long time, because we're living under lies, or have been living under lies from the time things have been swapped around or changed to now. We're living under lies. And that coincides. Now, you could say that this is mythology, i.e., this was deliberately put there so that it rhymes or coincides with the fact that we've been deceived. That's an argument for another day. But then also, we got to look at other things as well. And we also know that we can feel that there's a change coming. We can feel that change coming. And all that's been cited in Ezekiel is coming to pass, because the most righteous one is maneuvering things according to the way that he is going to maneuver things, as stated in Ezekiel. And the most important thing is that when you read Ezekiel and Isaiah and even Malachi and all the small prophets, everything points to the reigning or the coming back of the righteous, the chosen. Forget that they put Israelites there, but the chosen people. And this is why I say you got to look at how things are panning out. I mean, definitely we're not under the commandments, because the Most High didn't give us the commandments. A man gave us the commandments in that Bible. Nobody's ever seen the original text or the original scriptures, original papyrus, whatever you want to call it. Nobody's ever seen that. So you cannot tell me, yeah, this is what we're supposed to be doing, when we know that there's contradictions in the Old Testament. The New Testament is just rubbish. And we also know So, well, some of us haven't know that things have been doctored and added, and names and things have been changed, and they've put in there so that we don't question, even though we see it. That's why they say, oh, nobody should add to or take away from God's word. But that's exactly what you did. And before you did that, you wrote that there so we don't question you. But our real God, you see, and another thing as well, it says the righteous ones, there will be a time when we would start calling on our God, our own God. Hence why the tradition, our tradition and culture, we cannot give it up or rule it out. That is the way. Because I believe in times coming, there's going to be a lot of slow singing and flower bringing. And this is why we're going to start calling on our God. Because why? That's when we're going to realize this Christianity bullshit and the Islam bullshit and the religion in general bullshit has not worked for us. And I know we know the name of our God. You see, shout out to Bantu International again. I have to shout them out. Yeah, I mean, sorry, I lost my trail of thought there for a second. But yeah, when it comes back, I'll bring it back again. But yeah, we have to understand that when we're dealing with this book and we're looking at it, we have to look at it from a traditional lens. And this is why even those in the diaspora all around the world, they're going to know which God they're going to call to. They will know when the time comes. They say, yo, listen, when sufferation comes, you remember things you won't even believe that you remember, because it's all stored up in our subconscious mind. So this is what it means. And that's why I say that the scriptures, the Old Testament, has truth. And the bits where it says, thus says the Most High, and some of what his prophets are saying, but you have to put the sense, i.e. this last scripture I showed you in Ezekiel, where it says, he's speaking about the Zadokites and so on. You have to put the sense to the nonsense, and then you will understand. But really and truly, I personally wouldn't sleep too much on this Old Testament scriptures, because again, the Most High will direct his way, his people, when the time comes, basically. And yeah, Jacob has been put there as a deceiver, and Jacob changed his name to Israel because he didn't want us to believe that. Or if he left it as Jacob, we would know that, damn, why is God's people after a man who is a deceiver? So they cooked up this story that he wrestled with the Most High, and then bam, boom, whichever way you want to put it, his name is changed to Israel. to hide the fact that he's a deceiver. But it's the same Jacob. Why did the mother and father name him Jacob, which meant deceiver, but name Esau red? I mean, Esau, which means red, Edom. I mean, hold on. Let me just clarify one thing before I even go on. Because, again, I just want to make sure that what I'm saying is actually right. Okay. See, I had to clarify. Yes, I'm glad that I did that, because Esau doesn't mean red. It means hairy. But it was changed to red after he ate the what do you call it? The food, the red lentils. I'm glad I made that this distinction, because yeah. Yes, so yeah, it meant that he was hairy. But again, this is what they're saying to us again, that Esau's name means hairy. And then it was changed to red. But hairy and deceiver, come on, man. Who names their kid? Then again, we have people who name their kids John, which means toilet. But that's out of ignorance. Back in those days, they didn't do things out of ignorance. They did things a certain way. Not like today. Even today, you have Poniqua. What does that mean? Where did that come from? Made up names. We have all kinds of names. Taniqua. Laquanda. Yeah. And on and on and on. All these useless, meaningless names. In those days, that wasn't the case. They did things with meaning. So to call someone hairy and then the other deceitful or a supplanter, I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. It's just finding things to put on people. But again, if you look at the root of what they're actually saying that Jacob is a supplanter and Esau was after Adam because his name was red. And like I said before, lentils was not in the Middle East at the time when those boys were walking around. It was brought into the Middle East. So again, that to me doesn't make no sense. None at all. So yeah. Yeah, so that doesn't make no sense to me at all. And so therefore we cannot just go with blind faith and say, yo, we're going to believe in these things, and they're not really basically aligning to give us some kind of sense in what we are actually reading. See? Sorry, let me just check some, just so I know that. I've covered all the points. So yeah, again, why this is what we're saying. All of these questions or all of these things, they need answering. And this book doesn't do that for us. It doesn't give us the answers, but you have to put 2 and 2 together and come up with 10. And the 10 is not going to be this book, which we call the Bible. If you can put stuff in and take stuff out, then that's good. But if not, just live your life. And yeah, the Most High, if you believe He's one and righteous, will rescue you if you're from the bloodline of His people, basically. And so, yeah, but don't let this book drag you into places you don't want to go. They're telling you truth in plain sight. Jacob is a deceiver and a supplanter. That's why we have the 12 tribes and this whole big story behind the 12 tribes. And when you check it out, Jacob, whom the Most High said shouldn't mix, when you check out his background, he's the one that mixed even much more than any of them, basically, and his descendants. I mean, or should I say his descendants mix more. They're mixing all over the place with anybody and everybody. So again, it tells you. I mean, listen, you can close your eyes to truth or you can open your eyes. It's up to you. But in the days to come, most righteous one of the chosen will make himself known. Yes, and this is what I was going to say. Shout out to Bantu International again. Yeah, you see, like today in the Bible, and I agree, I can feel this analogy basically. Like today in the Bible, where the Most High has different names: Elohim, El Shaddai, El Elyon, and all these L's, basically. These are all different names, but they're attributed to this, well, supposedly to the same God. Some will say Elohim is a lesser God or whatever. Some will say that, nah, they're all the same God. So, yeah, so they're all the same God. Again, each to their own when they want to break it down like that. But on the flip side of things, remember I was saying to you, with every original, there's a copy, basically. And so with the original, like for instance, the Bantu and the Akan, basically. Now, yeah, the Bantu and the Akan basically are the chosen people because they're of the same stock. When you look at their gods, like for instance, if you go to the Igbo side of Nigeria, their god is called Chineke. If you go to the Zulu side, they have the name of their god. If you go to the Niger Congo side, they have the name of their god. Each and every tribe has the name of their god, but it's the same God. And I'm not talking about the spirit gods, because the spirit gods are not gods. It's just we know we call it spirit gods, but it's just an extension of the one main God, basically, which is the righteous one. I say God, but you understand what I mean. In this time, I'm trying to relieve myself of all these terminologies, but for the purpose of this video, if you hear me say God, please bear with me. So I say the righteous one, basically. So yeah, the righteous one. Yeah, he has many names also, because they're trying to do a copy of the original they gave all these L's. But in Africa, the Bantu and the Akan, for instance, our God, we call him Chudiampong Kwame. That's the name of our God, basically. The Gars have their God. The Airways have their God. The Fantis have their God. I believe they're the same as us, but no, I think they have their God, but it's the same, basically. They're all different names, but it's the same God, basically, or the same righteous one they're referring to. And then the rest are spirits, like the rain and the sun, and all of these are not gods or spirits, but these are attributes of the righteous one. Yeah. And whenever it rains, they praise the attribute and then the one with the attribute. That's why they say we worship our ancestors. No, we worship the God or the righteous one of our ancestors. That's who we worship, the righteous one of our ancestors. I will say Chudiampong Kwame. And the reason why I'm not saying that is because I'm not sure if it is the God of our ancestors or it has been taken on through migration and so on and so forth. But I believe Chudiampong Kwame is the God of our ancestors. Yeah, and one day we will be crying back, whatever his name is, if it's not Chudiampong Kwame, but I believe it is. And so I'm sticking to that for now. But yeah, we're going to cry back to our God, even in the diaspora, basically. They will know, because it's in you. It's right there in the subconscious, and it will come to you at the time when the time is right. So yeah, just keep the faith in the righteous one of the chosen. Forget about the God of Israel and this narrative that they've painted for us in this book they call the Bible. And yeah, man, don't let them fool you, as Bob will say, or even try to school you. Yeah. Oh no. Yes, it's a walking and talking thing, you know. And yeah, in life, basically, we feel, or I mean, we are always going to be asked, hey, who do you worship? Who's your God? XYZ, this, that, and the other. Yo, even you're going to ask yourself, who's my God? I mean, what do do we just worship God, or who do we worship? But it will come in time. Just praise the most righteous one of your ancestors, because without your ancestors, there's no you. And whoever the ancestors relied on is who we rely on. So why we say we praise the most righteous one of our ancestors. And yes, I believe we are Edomites, from Esau, the red man, the red soil man, just like Adam, Edom. Yeah. I don't know about the hairy part, but yeah, that's a story for another day. But on that note, listen, it's a walking and talking thing. I thank you very much, those of you who managed to come in live and stay with me, and those of you who will be watching later, or the chosen of the most righteous one. Blessings and salute to all of you. And if you're walking and talking and you come across somebody who says, yo, who are you? Who's your God? Or even just, who are you? Just tell them one thing. And with that, no, don't tell them one thing. Tell them this. With that, salute, respect, and blessings.
I'm from the motherland. I'm from the motherland. I know. I'm from the motherland. Yeah. I'm from the motherland. I'm from the motherland. Steam over land and seas, but it took us away, made us slaves, shipped on ships to work every day. We forgot where we're from, but now we remember. I'm from the motherland. I'm from the motherland. I know. I'm from the motherland. Adam and Eve, beautiful place, sun, seas and trees. Simple life, simplicity, simple blessings is all we need. We forgot where we're from, but now we remember. I'm from the motherland. I'm from the motherland. Yeah. Straight up and down. We out.
Shout out to Ghost WZA, Earth B. We out here. And all the family out there. Indian. SI. Yeah. Sunshine.
Just trying to find a way.
Oh.
Help us follow our pain. Help us to see a better day. 'Cause there's so much pain and misery, so much hate and so much greed, so much bad mind energy. So we're just trying to find a way. Help us follow our pain. Help us to see a better day. 'Cause there's so much pain and misery, so much hate and so much greed, so much bad mind energy. We're just trying to find a way. We're just trying to find our way. We're just trying to find a way.
Shout out to Substance for the nice music provided. Respect and blessings to all. Peace.